Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video, wherever you are, whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. I wanted to come on here live on this Thursday night and discuss some college football as I get ready to cover some high school football again tomorrow night. Hard to believe it is the last Friday of the regular season for high school football in the state of Georgia. So, unless you're going to the playoffs, tomorrow night is the last game for your team in the state of Georgia, whoever your team may be. It's funny because up until this year, for the last at least 5 or 6 years, it seems like the state of South Carolina has started their high school season first. So when they wrap up their regular season and start their playoffs, the state of Georgia is having their final weekend of the regular season. This year it's backwards. Tomorrow night is the final Friday night of the regular season in the state of Georgia. In South Carolina, they still have 1 week left. So next Friday, the state of Georgia is starting playoffs, and South Carolina will be in their final Friday of the regular season. If you tune in live on this Thursday night, feel free to leave a comment down below. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so. Give the video a like and a thumbs up as well. And if you're watching that ugly NFL game going on right now between the Texans and the Jets, I apologize. That is some hideous football. But I know a lot of folks don't have Amazon, but the college football game that's on tonight is an absolute embarrassment as well. So if you're a football fan, you're probably watching one of those games just because it's football, but neither one of them are worth watching. The football game I'm talking about is Tulane and Charlotte. That game is going on right now. Of course, the NFL game is the Jets and the Texans, and I'm being amused watching the Jets be so bad because every year now they're pretty much picked to go to the playoffs, and I don't know why, especially since, in my opinion, Aaron Rodgers ain't been no good in at least 5 years. But everybody's still so in love with Aaron Rodgers. But if they lose tonight, they're 2-7, so they're staring down the barrel of a long season. Anthony, glad to have you here on this Thursday night, Halloween night. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock on the CBS Sports Network, we have Georgia State and UConn. I believe UConn is 5-3 right now, so they've got a shot to win 7 or 8 games this season, and nobody's talking about them. Hey, Canyon, glad to have you here. And it's funny because back when Randy Edsall was their coach, and of course, he turned the program around and had a lot of good years there. As soon as they started winning, people talked about them. But maybe nobody likes Jim Moore Jr. because now UConn is winning and nobody's talking about them. 7:30 tomorrow night on ESPN2, we have South Florida and Florida Atlantic. And then 8 o'clock on Fox Sports 1, we have San Diego State and Boise State. Then coming up on Saturday, the noon game, the game that everybody in the world is going to be watching. If you're a college football fan, you're going to be watching that game if you're home Saturday. I have to work, so I'll be listening to it at work when I can. Noon on Fox, Ohio State and Penn State. Hey, Farzana or Farzana, ever how you say that. Glad to have you here. We are discussing some college football. The noon game on ABC is Duke and Miami, and I still think Miami is legit. They've had a couple of games this year that have gone down to the wire, and they have found a way to win them. And that's why I say they're legit this year, because in years past, those are the kind of games Miami finds a way to lose. And this year, they're finding ways to win those games. ESPN at noon is Ole Miss and Arkansas, Air Force and Army on CBS. Minnesota and Illinois on Fox Sports 1. Just a game that is going to be so bad, even fans of these teams aren't going to watch it. Big Ten Network, Northwestern, and Purdue, or as I call them, Purdue. Just two awful football teams. Even the fans of Northwestern and Purdue aren't going to watch that game. The people there in the stadium are probably there to do homework. They're not there to watch that game. Like back in the day when Duke was really bad at football, people would go to their game and do homework. I can recall Tommy Bowden when he was a coach at Clemson one year. Some of the Clemson players said you look up into the stands at Duke and the fans are doing their homework because it's quieter there than it was in their dorm. Well, it's going to be that way Saturday for Purdue and Northwestern. Just an awful game. The ACC network has Stanford and NC State. CW has the Virginia Tech Hokies and Syracuse. Buffalo and Akron on the CBS Sports Network. Toledo and Eastern Michigan on ESPNU. And the ESPN2 noon game is Memphis and UTSA. 12:45 on the SEC Network, we have Vanderbilt and Auburn. 3:30 on CBS, Oregon and Michigan. I would like to see Michigan hang with them, but they've played three quarterbacks this year, and none of them can throw the ball. So I don't know how Michigan hangs with them, but I'd like to see it. Oregon's looked pretty dominant the last 3 or 4 games after looking pretty average in their first 3 or 4 games. 3:30 on ABC, we have Florida and Georgia. ESPN, we have Texas Tech and Iowa State. Peacock, Indiana, and Michigan State. Hey, Ryder, glad to have you here. Make sure you give the video a like and a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do that. As well, if you're new to the channel, I talk college football, the NFL, NBA, college basketball, Major League Baseball, NASCAR, and then sometimes I have videos that aren't even about sports. Fox, we have Kansas State and Houston. The Big Ten Network has UCLA and Nebraska. The CBS Sports Network has Middle Tennessee State and UTEP. 4 o'clock on True TV, we have Wyoming and New Mexico. 4 o'clock on ESPN2, Navy and Rice. 4:15, we have UMass and Mississippi State. That game, of course, is on the SEC Network. Hey, Farzana, glad to have you here. 7 o'clock on Fox Sports 1, we have Arizona State and Oklahoma State. 7:30 on ABC, we have Texas A&M and South Carolina. South Carolina has looked really good. I know their overall record ain't great, but they've played better than I expected. And since A&M lost their first game to Notre Dame, they've been really impressive. They're the only SEC team that does not have a conference loss so far this season. So we're going to be in the month of November on the East Coast coming up here in a couple of hours, and the only SEC team undefeated in conference play is Texas A&M. But if South Carolina could throw the ball consistently, as good as their defense has been the last few games, I think they could beat A&M. But I don't see them beating A&M when they just can't throw the ball. I don't think you're going to beat a good team like A&M being one-dimensional, and South Carolina can throw the ball, but not consistently. They'll have 2 or 3 good pass plays and 10 to 12 awful pass plays. 7:30 on ESPN, Louisville and Clemson, and I know Louisville put up 45 when they played Miami, but I think Clemson wins this game by at least 2 touchdowns. That's my personal prediction. Ryder, I am from Georgia. Thank you for asking. NBC at 7:30, Wisconsin and Iowa. Big Ten Network, USC and Washington. ESPNU, Georgia Southern and South Alabama. 7:45 on the SEC Network, Tennessee and Kentucky. This game usually is tight because these two teams do not like each other. But Kentucky's offense has just looked abysmal pretty much all year long. They had one game where they looked decent on offense, and that was it. They've gotten worse instead of better as the years progressed. Tennessee has still not given up more than 19 points in the game this year. So I'd like to see it be a good competitive game, but I think Tennessee wins it by 3 touchdowns because Kentucky can't score. 8 o'clock on the ACC Network, Pittsburgh and SMU in Pittsburgh is the real deal. SMU is really good as well. That should be a good game. 8 o'clock on ESPN2, TCU and Baylor. 8 o'clock on the CBS Sports Network, we have Colorado State and Nevada. And that is all the games. This week, there are no 10 o'clock games. There are no 10:30 games. There are no 11 o'clock games. So all the teams on the West Coast are either on the road this week or they're off this week. So no late games this Saturday. So even if you like to stay up and watch all the football you can, you should be able to go to bed by midnight this Saturday. And that means you get an extra hour of sleep because time changes. Saturday night, we go back an hour. Of course, it officially changes Sunday morning at 2 a.m. It'll go back to being 1 a.m. But nobody wakes up in the middle of the night to change the time. They either change it before they go to bed on Saturday or when they wake up on Sunday. I do know one guy that changed his time today because he was scared he would forget coming up on Saturday night / Sunday morning. He went ahead and changed his clocks today, but most people do it either before you go to bed Saturday night or when you wake up Sunday morning. But unless you live in the 3 places that do not have a time change is coming up on Saturday night. For all of you that tuned in live, thank you for tuning in live. Thank you for all the comments. Give the video a like and a thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed, please do so. It takes about 2 seconds and it helps out the channel tremendously. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. Did you know that cheerful cowboys make jolly ranchers? And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.